Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Those of you joining us on the YouTube channel, I sincerely apologize for the break in the transmission there. Technical team are doing everything possible. It seems to be disconnecting or fluctuating. And I hope that you're enjoying that beat, the music from Joe Metal and Nathaniel Bassi. And it said Kadosh. And it's all coming away from Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. I hope you're doing very, very, very well. And having a great day or great time wherever you might be. If you have any activities planned for today or over the weekend, we wish you all the best. And as we say here on Starr Radio UK, may Nigeria never happen to you. I seem to be that the new president is putting more implementations down, and that will help us in a great deal. But you want to know more? Let's go all the way to our North London studios where we've got our own Mr. Olayomi all ready to fire on all cylinders. It is Starr Radio UK. Well, it looks like Yomi's image is frozen. So bear with us whilst we try to get him all up. Okay, I think now we got him. Okay, let's take this quick commercial break and then we bring him to you. This is from the NHS.
Hi, I'm Ada Williams and I'm an NHS pharmacist. Don't get caught out by COVID this summer. If you have only had one COVID-19 vaccination or haven't had one at all, you can still get your free vaccine until the 30th of June. Book your vaccine through the NHS app, online at nhs.uk/COVID vaccination or call 119 for free.
Welcome back to the program, Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. And it is my singular honor to introduce to you once again the White Lion himself, Mr. Olayomi in our North London studios on this Friday morning, where he's all ready to fire on all cylinders. Yomi, good morning.
Well, good morning to you, Mr. Archie. Good morning to all our listeners and viewers from around the world, and welcome once again, to the finest African and Caribbean radio station in London, and it is the Starr Radio UK. I believe we're having a bit of let's see.
Yeah, I think your image is frozen. Yeah, it's
gonna come back on. I think it's from my end. Let's see if we can get that back. Bear with us just for a few minutes and see if we can bring that back on quickly. Yeah, I think it's back on now.
Yes, it's back on now. How are you and how is the family?
Well, the family are doing all right. As we do know that some of them have been running through the exam. So exam is now almost over. So it is also the weekend. And while you were saying how is the family, are always worried more about the family in Nigeria, because Nigeria is where we get concerned because of our people on the ground. I mean, a £1.40 will buy you 500 grams of spaghetti, 5 of that at 28p. Looking at the magazine received from the NUJ this morning, or yesterday rather, talking about the help that is available, for freelance journalists and those that can also get the help. So the family here, even though we know inflation and things are happening, but we tend to be much more concerned about the family in Nigeria. And when I say family, it's not literally your immediate family. We are more concerned about every single Nigerians that are going through what they called food crisis, security crisis, inflation, household, and all these were part of the help that is available, like I said, for those that are freelance, journalists. As we do know, the government have been helping with the energy bills, the household bill, the business support. So how do we make sure that our government, when we say government, people tend to look at it from Bola Tinubu, the president. No, we talked about your governor, the deputy governor, the senator, the House of Rep, the speaker, the deputy speaker, the local government chairman, and likewise as well, the community and the society. So the family on the other side here is okay, but the family on the other side, it's all about under pressure, like Raskimono will say.
Well, as we say, under pressure, Nigerians under pressure, Africans under pressure, whatever our leaders are doing, and we feel part of the government as well. That is a question. If you feel part of it, that's when you contribute to it, right? Okay, but the DMO is worried over low revenues as Nigeria debt nears 81 trillion naira. Now, I don't know 81 trillion naira what it converts to in dollars. I think how many billions of dollars there? Or no, it will be trillion. It will be in the trillion there. Yomi.
Well, there's a lot of debt in Nigeria, and one thing that the government is looking for now is to find as much money to solve this problem. How Nigeria will be able to solve that debt problem, because it is the debt of a country that has, what we can call whether there's a functioning system, like I mentioned at the beginning. So this morning, according to the figure that have arrived based on the 2022 Debt Sustainability Analysis Report by the Debt Management Office, according to the Debt Office, there is an increase in the total public debt to the GDP of 37.1% in 2023 from 23.4% as at September 2022, was due to the inclusion of an estimated 8.8 trillion 2023 debt that the government weighs and means debt of over 23 trillion. Now there's estimate promissory note insurance of 2. So the debt continue to rise because there is still government running, and that literally means that the president is looking for funds. Is currently in Paris, the Global Summit Pact, and the federal government will be unable to borrow a lot as it is near its self-imposed debt limit of 40% according to the DMO Debt Management Office. But you were talking about what it means when we bring it down to the dollar rate in terms of the figure. We are talking about whether we would even be able to get any more loan from the outside world, from the Chinese, the Afri-Bank, the African Development Bank, and likewise, the loan that are coming from the Arab country as well, because we are now almost 40% exhausting what we called borrowing. And it is good to borrow if you are using that money for the right purpose and it's not being stolen away. Because this morning again, there's all kind of 7 billion theft at John cases. There's another one that I saw, $76 million cash all stockpiled in an Abuja apartment. I'll be telling you more about that later.
Well, listeners, it is Starr Radio UK, and let me say morning to Mr. Dan Tabiri, CEO of GIL Accountancy Services, and Mrs. Evelyn Tabiri and the girls. We are all doing very, very well there. Now, as you were saying, it's good to borrow money. Because if you borrow and you utilize it, we get the money's worth of whatever, and a good negotiation there. Not paying too much interest there, and at least you get your citizens. Getting whatever. So we take a typical case of the refinery by what's his name again? Dangote. Now, yeah. It's not his own pocket money that is used. That he's using whatever he has as surety. Is going to take a big loan to do that as well. So this is an investment, and we know that it will bear fruit, or it will yield profit for him, and you'll be able to. But when we see our countries going to go get loans, and we don't see that, people are not seeing the impact of it, and as you're saying, few people dip their hands in and just siphon it and just run off with it, then we have a big problem. But this is a case where they are thinking of increasing taxes in Nigeria, and some are saying that do not go on to increase taxes. Where will government get the revenue from then? Yummy.
Well, Nigeria don't like paying tax, and you got to pay tax wherever you are. Most companies, even here in UK, try to avoid the inland revenue, because that is the only way the government can run after them, to do what they call the services. When you go to number 10 down the street, just about a few meters away is the HMRC building. The federal government, like you said, implemented 3 days ago what we call the 7.5% VAT on diesel, but Nigerian kicked. I don't know why Nigerians are kicking, because if you want that services, you have to pay for it. But why Nigerians are kicking is that most of the time, Nigerians have paid so much into the government coffer, whether through the pension, whether through the the VAT to the diesel. But how does this money end up to be used is been the question. But the federal government Monday this week confirmed that it has commenced the implementation of the payment of 7.5% value added tax on the automotive gas oil, popularly called diesel. In Nigeria, most vehicles are run on petrol. I sent a vehicle some few years ago, and it was a diesel vehicle, and it seems that the mechanics struggled to operate it. I would rather want to run a diesel vehicle here because it's a little bit more cheaper and a little bit more economical. But in Nigeria, everybody believes that the petrol is the better car. Even though the Lagos state is saying that they have brought in some buses, electric buses. I don't know how they're going to operate that, knowing fully well that Nigeria is not yet there, but it's also trying to look at the innovative. But this development was however condemned by Nigerians, who has pointed out the citizens were still trying to adjust to the hike of the pump price of the premium motor spirit, popularly called petrol, not knowing that there are plans being perfected to further raise payment of diesel. The question then is, where is the government going to find the money for the duty of care to Nigerians, especially the Bola Tinubu government is trying to bring back as much money into the coffers of the government, and the reason for that is so that we can be able to pay back our loan that we assured the international community when we were borrowing this money. However, the 9th Senate of the Representatives would wound down without approving the loan request. Buhari took out so much loan that today Bola Tinubu will be able to find where to get those loans. And under the alternative scenario, the total public debt to the GDP ratio at about 45.4% in 2023 exceed Nigerian self-imposed debt limit of 40%. So already we have gone past our treasury of what we could get. But while the federal government debt service to revenue also exceed the recommendation treasury of 50%. So it seems that we are going too far way ahead when it comes to borrowing, and the government must find a way to reduce the borrowing that Nigerians are saying it will take 40 years to repay back the debt.
Well, to take 40 years to repay back the debt, who's going to be paying it at that time? Well, but Bishop Adesina says revenue is now increased for the FAAC to share among component units. Now from 655.9 billion naira to 1.2 trillion monthly allocation. The surplus is coming from proceeds of subsidy removal and foreign exchange. And then it says, Pastor Mo says, good morning as well. Pastor Mo, thanks for having you as well. Well, it says that citizens, when I ask who is going to pay it, Bishop Adesina says citizens, of course, because whatever you do.
Just to buttress on that, because I've got the news in front of me as well. The federal government, the state, the local government shares 786 billion naira last month in the revenue. Very large money, big chunk of money. Remember that then by the time you break it down, we have 774 local government across the country. How then is also the autonomy of making sure that whatever revenue goes to our local government is not also being held back by some of the governors. The Federal Allocation Committee says it has shared about 786.16 billion among the three tiers of the government last month. The figure represent an increase of 130 billion naira compared to the 655 in April. And like I said, it's because there's a little bit of chunk of money due to subsidy. Remember that Nigerian government is paying out 400 billion naira every month towards the subsidy. That's about almost $10 billion last year. The FEC actually disclosed this in a communique that was issued late last night in Abuja. On Thursday, the meeting was shared by the new Accountant General Federation, Dr. Olayomi. Melvin. The total amount include gross statutory revenue, value-added tax, argumentation from the forex, non-oil mineral revenue, electronic money transfer levies. The communique said the 786.16 billion total was distributable revenue, comprises distributable statutory. But Nigerians hear this money. I mean, we are saying there's 700 and something billion to be shared. The question is, how do you get the support? And like I said, looking at that record that I was reviewing this morning, from the article that was sent to me by the NUJ, was telling me that, if I am in crisis, these are the way you can get support, from the business support to the loan to the statutory pay to the universal credit. How do an average Nigeria somewhere in Plateau State can walk to the local government and say, look, I am in crisis, whether for food need, business need, and they can get support? This is where the government is not literally operating on the grassroots.
Well, listeners, interesting development from there. But whilst we're crying about money, scavengers have carted away $4 million from $76 million cash haul stockpiled in Abuja apartment by the NDIC manager Aisha Odariko, ex-PEM Secretary Mohammed Kyari. Now, you see, I've been asking lots of questions as to whether Tinubu taking the reins now is going to be going after various people, because we know that it looks like, I remember Aisha Buhari did make a statement back in the day that Buhari at the time wasn't given the free hand to be actually chasing or persecuting people, or people who have naked state funds and stuff like that. So we see Tinubu coming in, and it looks like from day one he hit the ground running, trying to pursue people like that. Now this is in a country where people are crying, and we look at the country's total debt ratio, and we are talking about it that, look, this is something that's going to come back to bite them one day. And Bishop Adesina says citizens are going to definitely pay for that. Yomi, what happened to this money? Where did they get it? How did they stash it? And how was it discovered?
It's so painful that we have 130 million Nigerians that are struggling. And when I say struggling from every basic things of life. And by the time you hear that someone, two people, individuals, groups of people have decided to use Nigeria as their cash cow, or cash cow. These are the two faces. To your left is the woman. It doesn't make any difference. Aisha Odariko. She is the manager of the NDIC. I'm going to tell you the full meaning of that. That is the abbreviation. And Mohammed Kaira Dikwa is the ex-permanent secretary, the Federal Ministry of Finance. What we do know that a quarter of the scrap metal collected foraging for food during the peak of the COVID-19 pandemic breached a gated duplex in a residential neighborhood southeast of Abuja city center. Remember that we're talking about, food that was meant to be delivered during the COVID. Have now cut away with about $4 million cash linked to the two federal civil servants, according to the report, based on the document and interview with the top law enforcement officials that briefed on the matter. Our master lead learned out the theft and the revelation that well-heeled Nigerians are still harbor vast quantities of mysterious cash indoors, despite broadly publicized recoveries of similar sort away in recent years. Touted officials working on the case. Aisha Sadiq Odariko, a manager in charge of the Enterprise Risk Unity of the Nigerian Deposit Insurance Corporation, NDIC, and Mohammed Kaira Dikwa, a retired permanent secretary at the Federal Ministry of Finance, have been the subject of the spoiling but concealed criminal investigation by the authorities for their role, guess what, in stockpiling about $76 million cash of unexplained origin.
Wow.
This is just unbelievable. But some say there's nothing unbelievable. Abacha stole so much, and these are still the same clan of people that are milking Nigeria very dry.
Wow, listen to Star Radio UK. But let me talk about asset declaration regime under this constitution. Now, in this part of the world, if you want to do or embark on anything like that, they will be monitoring you. I mean, this Archie, they know that he is worth so much. The next moment, they find me buying a private jet and buying some plush building around where one of the poshest places. And then they'll be finding out, did he win a lottery? What business has he entered into to get that? So when it comes to the asset declaration regime in Nigeria, how is it like? Because if these people are being checked, then people will not be able to siphon any state funds. Yummy.
Well, people are checked maybe if you're a governor, a president, but when it comes to these positions, you're quite right. They are meant to be checked. They are meant to be, look to say, declare your asset. But in reality, Mr. Archie, these are Nigerian, this is Africa. Asset declaration, even Bola Tinubu have not yet declared his own asset declaration as a president, not to talk about, the average, workers at this ministry, as you can see there. I mean, and sometimes they know where the money is moving from. They don't want it to move it through the banking sector. That is why, most Nigerians corrupt politicians and civil. I mean, it is only Nigeria that a civil servant knows as a business. They've turned it into a business. So normally you should have these as a proposal, maybe where the money is moving around, but $76 million stashed somewhere. It's not new. Remember that Ibori had so much money stuck in his house here in London when he was busted until he spent time. He's back in the same government. So it is not unusual for us to hear this news, but it is just heartbreaking. She told detectives that there was 76 million in the building, out of which the boys have already stored as well 4 million. So, we call it Olegba. Even those that went to see that apartment have removed $4 million out of the 76 million.
Interesting. Africa, my goodness. Listen to Star Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London on the Friday edition of the morning show. The time now 11:29. But let me bring you one comment that Bishop Adesina has posted. It said the levies on Nigerian citizens are too much. Now people are paying now, but government has no payback scheme to cushion the hard economy. Now electricity, fuel, devaluation of the naira, commodity price hike, my goodness, name it, and they are all going on. And so, like Yomi said, about 130 million people are suffering. They are just trying to exist, not to live, exist. But well, what do you think can be done? It is Star Radio UK. Let's move on to some. Another one, and it says all these on citizens to suffer in order to balance Nigeria's economy when the people who loot the nation openly are untouchable. The people may revolt before August against the government. Of course, when your backs are pushed against the wall and they are trying to siphon everything from you and you have nothing to give, all that you can do is to just revolt. But we hope that it doesn't get to that point. But people will rise up, but the government will know, will do diligence to whatever is happening to cushion the lives of people. But listen to Star Radio UK. Yomi, unless you want to say something about that.
No, we're good to go.
All right then. So now let's move on to some other stories making the rounds. Now, come next week, it's going to be the Eid. What the full name of that one?
Yeah, the Eid. Yeah,
the Eid. Right. Yeah. But the DSS is coming out to say that look, they are signing warnings that look, there are terrorist threats that is going on in the country. Now I don't know the past bits, the past events like that. I don't know what has been done, But with these new service chiefs coming into office, are they going to now introduce maybe some soldiers or some security in all the mosques and all the churches and stuff like that if there are any threats of the sort? Yummy.
Well, intelligence gathering is about, finding out the threat and neutralize it as quickly as possible before it becomes a full-blown threat, to the citizens. So every security intelligence wants to know, who is doing something that will make harmful to the citizens. So, with the back behind me are the new security chiefs. We've seen, coordinated attack on the military in the last few days. Again, it's all about whether somebody is leaking their intelligent movement, and but the NSA has a lot of work to do, just as the DSS as well. But the Department of the State Services has now raised the alarm of planned attacks on worship and recreation centers before and during the Eid celebration. This is not the first time that warning has been given to citizens. Even the international, diplomats at the international embassies, like the Americans and the UK, are always warning their citizens to avoid a lot of gatherings. And the reason for that is nothing more than the fact that we have as many elements of people that wants to make disruption. It's saying, your state has been bashed back to back in the last few days. They've even cried out to, Dr. Chief Sunday Igboho to come and rescue them, even though they have a governor in place that should be dealing with such insecurity. We've seen coordinated attack in Plateau State, in Bauchi State. So the DSS warning yesterday by Peter Afunaya urged operators of malls, among others, to be vigilant. Mr. Archie, Nigerians are so not vigilant. Each time I travel to Nigeria, it seems that maybe because say it, salted is something that has been embedded with us. Sometimes I do ask, why is this vehicle parked there? And it seems that it is odd. Some will just tell you the owner is not even around. And you wonder, why is the vehicle parking here when it's not meant to be there? Nigerians are not conscious enough to know the threat surrounding them. But those that travel into the country, and the security intelligence is just advising the mall operator, the churches, the mosque, to be a little bit vigilant. The DSS calls for vigilance before, that means anytime from now, the Eid celebration more, so that report had indicated plans to attack worship. It seems that again, what the late Dr. Malafia has been telling us, that there is still element of attack, as we saw it during the Owo attack in Ondo State, as we have seen it in Kaduna State. It seems again, we can only advise as many Nigerians to be vigilant, and if you see anything that is not just sure, why not say it out before it is too late?
Well, listeners, quite an interesting development from there. And it's all coming away from Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. And as you say, you see it, you say it, and it's sorted. So we need to, I think, rein that into every one of us listeners in Nigeria as well. Bishop Adesina says life situation is now unbearable. My goodness. But what do you think? What do you think government can do? Somebody say, well, what do you call him? Tinubu has found himself in this trouble already. He didn't actually create that, but he finds himself in that trouble. But what do you think about all that? It is Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Let's move on to one other story. Now, the former Lagos State ex-speaker, Ikoforiji, I hope I pronounce the name well, is said to have Ikoforiji, okay, has squandered 7 billion naira, but I think that is too huge a sum for one person to squander. Abi?
Well, there's always been court cases that drugs. We're going to come back to the President Bola Tinubu there. As you can see, is still in Paris. It seems that Macron understands very well, the way we can greet each other, because, you can see that yesterday, it was more of a proper hug, because Macron, from what we know, spend as much time in Lagos. We're going to come back to that. Lagos is a city. Lagos is a place that everybody, even from the north, from the southeast, from the middle belt, wants to get to, because it's just like the small London with about 20 million population. But it seems that again, those that are operating have been touching, public fund. 7 billion naira theft. The court have now adjourned the trial of the former Lagos State Speaker, Ikuforiji. Mr. Ikuforiji said his trial was based on a petition by an unknown person alleging that he stole about 7 billion from the parliament. The Lagos Division of the Federal High Court has now adjourned the money laundering trial of Adeyemi Ikuforiji for tampering with what they called the Lagos State money. Again, as we know that if things are not put in place and money that is meant to be used are not used properly, then you can end up not getting the services. And as many Nigerians complain that Lagos State is so choked, maybe it's choked because those that are in charge, and that is his face there, Ikuforiji. So let's go a little bit more further. The case was slated for the continuation of the trial yesterday, could not go on as the court did not sit. The courtroom where the trial judge, Justice Mohammed Lima, seat was closed. The case was also not heard on June 1st, and it was earlier scheduled for trial. It was then that a new adjourned date will now be communicated to the parties. Mr. Ikuforiji is prosecuted by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, alongside his former personal assistant, Oyebode Atoyebi. They are facing 54-count charge bordering on money laundering. It is, well, I mean, if he says somebody I've just reported in, well, if there's evidence, then he will have to defend himself, which is what is going on. The defendants were, however, rearranged before Justice Ibrahim following the reassignment of the case. Mr. Bubu was granted the bail of 500 million naira, each with a surety in the like sum. On September 26, 2014, Mr. Buba discharged Mr. Ikuforiji and his aide of the charges after upholding a no-case submission, but the judge that held that EFCC failed to establish a prima facie case against them. Dissatisfied with the ruling, EFCC, through its counsel Godwin Obla, filed a notice of appeal dated. You can see that this case has been going on since 2014, and I can assure you it can go on till Bola Tinubu complete his tenure.
It is interesting. It is interesting, and that's what Bishop Adesina was saying. That, well, they have a few people who are putting their hands in the coffers, just chopping it left, right, center. And those who, they have influence some way, somehow, manage to. Because how can a judge, discharge them, saying that there's no case to answer? And now, looking at it, now they have to do something about it. But listen, as it's Starr Radio, okay, 11:39 the time, we go to Yomi, because we can see the president in France. Why he went to, is it the Exim Bank, to say, you know what, we want some big loan there, Yomi.
Well, reaction is coming on the social media that the president actually traveled down there, but he didn't make any speech. I mean, it seems that he has handed over to the ambassador in Paris. Maybe for reason known to him, we don't know. But, expectation was that the president was going to be speaking, to discuss the issues about financing, help in Nigeria, but nothing of such. I can see a lot of laughing between, giggling, the president, Macron holding each other. I think the president, Macron's wife, was trying to make some holding as well, because I saw Joe Biden as well not leaving the hand of Modi, the Indian president, while his wife was trying to struggle to get through the control of the situation. But in reality, like I said, what is being now said by Nigerians is that the visit of Bola Tinubu to Paris, was it for pleasure? Was it really for the current support that so many Nigerians need the international community to look into? But France President Macron welcomed President Tinubu to Paris. The event ended yesterday, so we're expecting Tinubu to be back again. There's a lot of work to be done in Nigeria over the weekend, as we do know. But like I said, the pictures speak for itself yesterday. Let's come back again. 10,000 kg of heroin, cocaine, tramadol melt were seized in Kaduna by the NDLEA. Nigeria Cybernaut condemned Tinubu for failing to join the Paris Summit panel on stage. Nigerians have berated President Bola Tinubu for failing to participate in a live economic session at the ongoing summit of the world leaders in Paris. And as we do know, like we said earlier, Mr. Tinubu asked the country ambassador to represent him instead. It was not immediately clear why the president could not go on the stage by himself, especially as his office previously announced he was in France to attend the summit, participate in the debate about the economic prospect. Though it was unclear why Tinubu could not go on the stage, as we said, but as we know, a Twitter user at Ajagun Shegun said, it is only 3 weeks into his administration. Nobody has yet seen any material impact of his policies on anyone's lives, as we've been discussing this morning as well. But some brown nosy are already declaring Bola Tinubu to be the best Nigerian president has ever had. This is the best president asking another official to represent him when it matters most. Apparently, this is exactly the meaning of Bala Blue, Bulu Laba. That is coming. Remember that he did this at Chatham House, but the Agbado people said it meant he trusts his people. Do you know how it looks when your president can't even speak when he should be, because his old brains could go blank? This was what you get when you vote in a man who should be in old people's home, according to the Twitter handle. So you can see that the reaction is coming out. Another Twitter handle, Jax Olashupo, declared that they are still doing this teamship nonsense, noting that this is what happens when you did not win the election and got selected by INEC. And we take one more. At P. Dauda felt that Tinubu should have stayed back in Nigeria rather than going to the summit. So we take straight to the social. Okay, I'm going to come back and get to this thing.
It's quite an interesting one. But since he came into office, how has his health been like? Has he been okay?
Looking at it from me, I think, as he was arriving in the summit yesterday, as psychology, even though we are not trained for it, but for someone that have studied and seen Tinubu before, today, we know that, it's not the same Tinubu that we know as fit in 1999. But yesterday, when he was attending the summit at the beginning of the first day, you could see that the balance is not there. But as we do know, age-wise, we could also say that we know that he has some health issues just as any other person. But again, as we do say, maybe he should have stayed back or not. But being there as a president carries weight than just sending the Nigerian ambassador into that particular event. But health-wise, time will tell whether Tinubu will be flying out again, because there's a lot of rumor that he's not just attending the summit, he was just also recharging his battery cell.
Okay, is he charging his batteries? We don't know. You and I were not there. Pastor Moore says nothing good can come out of Nigeria's government. May God deliver the indigenous people. Bishop Adesina says he should have been taking medical treatment. It's alleged. That's the allegation that is going on. That he's alleged to have. He should have taken medical treatment instead of going there. Maybe he's trying to be a good leader by deputizing. So get somebody there to go and talk. Maybe he lost his voice. Who knows? But well, let's go on Twitter and the social media platform with Mr. Olayomi. Over to you, Yomi.
It's always some good news, even though as much as the bad news seems to be what likes to trend. But there's always a good news, and we start with the good news on the social media. Let's try and drop it down as little bit so that we can get the good news. And right there is Amina, that came out with what we can call 5.0. I don't know what that means, but those that understand it will get the message. Amina Yusuf, the enigmatic young lady with a perfect 5.0 CGPA from the Faculty of Law, LASU. Never in the 40 years history of the school has any student made this kind of perfect cumulative GP. Congratulations, we are proud. The governor, you can see there, gave 5 million of his own money. When they say their own money, you know definitely still the same money from his salary or money from the government. And he now gave 5 million from the government as well. If I have just said, we give you 10 million without really disclosing which side of the money. But politicians are always like that. You know, I remember my cousin. No, not my cousin, but one of my brother, in one of my visits to Nigeria, he's a politician. And each time he said to me, the reason why politicians announce that they are giving money is because sometimes, people leave their office and say, that man never gave me any money. So as the man is leaving, the politician is coming on the window and say, I just gave him 10,000 naira right now. So the politicians are used to that. But congratulations to Amina Yusuf, becoming the first graduate in 40 years, that 4 decades, to achieve a perfect CGPA in law at LASU. Amina Yusuf, how I became a first LASU undergraduate to get 5.0. And you can see, he's Muslim, dressed in the Islamic is not about the outfit, it's about what is in the brain that matters a lot. So congratulations to Amina, and we leave that and because of the time constraint. Now let's come back to some other news trending in Nigeria. President Macron is trending. We know the reason for that, because of Bola Ahmed Tinubu. So that is definitely, we've actually break it down as we know. I'm looking at the AFP. This is the difference where Nigerians are not really pleased with Bola Tinubu, that says, he has attended an event and yet he's not speaking. But according to the AFP 25 minutes ago, French President Macron says it's a complete consensus to reform a global financial institution. I would have loved to hear the same thing coming from the AFP, talking about what Tinubu actually said and not what our ambassador to France is saying. But again, it's just about maybe the hugging, and the throw of punch between Tinubu and Macron in another image there, which the video has actually. So it looks like Tinubu has gone for a greeting rather than speaking. So that is currently trending, and we're going to take one more of what is trending, on the social media, where Nigerians make use of their voices as well. In UK, there's a breaking news. There's going to be a 5-day full workout from the 13th of July, from 7 a.m. to the 18th of July by the junior doctor. So if anybody lives in the UK, we hope your appointment is not going to be falling on that particular time as well. So just what is trending generally, it's all about Nigeria. A lot of Nigerians are talking about the Ocean Gate expedition. Some have said different things. Why would you lock yourself in a 250 million cage thrown into the water for expedition? But again, if sometimes we don't take the risk, we don't get the quest. As it's just the same thing as the indigenous people under the leadership of Professor Adebanji Akintoye says, we must find the quest, the truth, and the truth shall always prevail. And that is the reason why he will be having another town hall conversation with Ilano, Canada, where they'll be discussing everything about the progress, the unity of moving the campaign of the Yoruba Nation struggle that will also continue. With also, as others have said, that Bola Tinubu would at some point have to negotiate roundtable discussion, consultation with those that are agitating. It does not matter how long it takes, because this is a non-violent movement. So that is going to be the current situation with the movement tomorrow again, where Professor, and also called the Oracle, a professor of history that started writing the history of the Yoruba as far back as 1977 with the first draft.
Wow, listeners, updates from Nigeria with Mr. Olayomi. Okay, and that's around was bringing what is happening on the social media. Bishop Adesina says, you know what? When he was shaking hands with Macron, I was praying so that the president of Nigeria doesn't fall down. He didn't. He was praying seriously. Old man, yeah. But well, we wish him the best. We wish him the best. I don't know why he had to go in there if he were not going to appear in that conference or whatever they were doing there and going to deputize someone to do so. He could have as well just stayed home and then save some money for Nigeria. But he did go. But again, as I did say, well, he's going to be making some money for the country. Some loans that were going to come in from the Exim Bank, I think so. And a few things there. So let's see. Keep your fingers and everything crossed. All right then, Yomi. Before we go,
well, before you go, I was going to just say this as well, from African Confidential at Bumi_speaks. Say whatever you wish about Simon Ekpa, but even Asari, their sworn enemy, could attest to the fact that he is a problem to the lawless Nigerian government, and anyone who can be put in their category sound like a true freedom fighter to me. I stand with the PM, Simon Ekpa, with my full chest. But the last one is, 30 minutes ago, this is what Boris Johnson said. Happy Independence Day, flocks. Remember, BRICS exit has already helped deliver all kinds of benefit, from the new free trade to the fastest vaccine rollout in Europe. We are doing things differently, from the genomic editing to regulation of finance services. You can never be tired of Boris Johnson, especially with his air. I remember he traveled to Lagos, and as he was coming out of the vehicle, entering the event in a hotel, he was trying to talk in his uniform, his confidence. It's just the same Boris Johnson. He can never change.
Well, bojo for you. All right, Yomi, let me say thank you very much for that wonderful update once again.
Thank you so much, and have a blessed weekend to all our listeners. Join again on Monday. Bye for now.
Bye. Well, listen, that has been Mr. Olayomi Koiki from our North London studios, bringing you updates from Nigeria. Let me bring you, I will take a commercial and then I'll bring you some tune that I thought Three Little Birds will be an appropriate song for you this morning. Yes, we are still in the morning, but that will be after this commercial break. Stay tuned and don't you go.
Hi, I'm Ada Williams and I'm an NHS pharmacist. Don't get caught out by COVID this summer. If you have only had one COVID-19 vaccination or haven't had one at all, you can still get your free vaccine until the 30th of June. Book your vaccine through the NHS app, online at nhs.uk/COVID vaccination, or call 119 for free.
Okay. Enjoy this song this tune, one of Bob Marley's cover from Root Riders. It's a Three Little Birds. Don't worry about a thing. Everything is gonna be all right. That's what the Prime Minister of the UK is saying to us. What about that? Enjoy it. I'll see you in a bit.
This morning, smile with the rising sun. Three little birds sit by my doorstep, singing sweet songs of melodies pure and true. Yeah, this is my message to you. Sing, don't worry about a thing. Worry about a thing, no, every little thing is gonna be alright. We rise up this morning, smile with the rising sun. Three little birds sit by my doorstep, singing sweet songs of melodies pure and true. Yeah. Hey, this is my message to you. Don't worry about a thing, 'cause every little thing is gonna be alright. Sing it, don't worry about a thing, 'cause every little thing, yeah, is gonna be alright. Come on. Don't worry about a thing, 'cause every little thing is gonna be alright. Don't worry, yeah, about a thing. Don't worry, 'cause every little thing is gonna be alright.
Star Radio UK.
Hi, I'm Ada Williams and I'm an NHS pharmacist. Don't get caught out by COVID this summer. If you have only had one COVID-19 vaccination or haven't had one at all, you can still get your free vaccine until the 30th of June. Book your vaccine through the NHS app, online at nhs.uk/COVID vaccination, or call 119 for free.
Hi guys, this is your friend Uruj from SendWave. SendWave is a money transfer app that is used by people all over the world to send money to their loved ones in Africa. With SendWave, you can send money to Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And the best part is, SendWave is absolutely commission free. Our exchange rates are excellent. You can see for yourself by checking them out on our website. So how do you use SendWave? SendWave is an app that you can download onto your phone from the App Store or Google Play Store. The app is free to download. After downloading it, just open the app and enter your name, email, and phone number. That's it. You're good to go. Make sure you use the promo code SR. S for Star, R for Radio. This promo code will give you £5 free credit to send to Africa on your first transaction. Your money will be delivered to your recipient within seconds. Feel free to call me on 0749 7377 647 at any time. I'll be happy to tell you all about SendWave and help you in any way I can. Remember to use the promo code SR for £5 free credit. Medasse.
Hi everyone, it's your girl BB Clemens, the author of How to Go From Employee to Entrepreneur and the host of your weekly business show, BB Means Business, the show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Star Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.
Hi, I'm Ada Williams and I'm an NHS pharmacist. Don't get caught out by COVID this summer. If you have only had one COVID-19 vaccination or haven't had one at all, you can still get your free vaccine until the 30th of June. Book your vaccine through the NHS app, online at nhs.uk/COVID vaccination, or call 119 for free.
Everywhere you go, Afrobeat reggae dancehall taking over. Everywhere you go, Afrobeat reggae dancehall taking over. Yo, what's up, people? This is a boy Raskin Bobo One. Tune in every day, every night at the Star Radio UK with the big man them Archie. When I say Orta, you say fire.
Welcome back to the program Star Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Exactement. Just few seconds. Call it 1 minute to the top of the hour. And of course, it's the Friday edition of the morning show. It's exactly at 12:30. We'll be bringing you the my apologies. The money hour with our money man, Mr. Dan Tabiri, CEO of GL Accountancy Services. All right then. So wherever you are, don't even think of touching the dial. Keep your dial so locked on Star Radio UK, because a few incidents here and there we're going to be bringing your way. And those of you on various platforms watching us, I salute each and every one of you, and I say, I hope you all having a good day. Let me serve you brunch now. Yes. Now, if you want to join in the conversation, call us on 0208-133-2257 or 58. 0208-133-2257 or 58. If you happen to be in the US, Canada, or the Caribbean area, it is 001-718-303-2737. 001-718-303-2737. You can text or WhatsApp us as well. That is 0753-966-1744, 0753-966-1744. Our Twitter handle is at Star Radio UK, and email address is info@starradiouk.com. info@starradiouk.com. So whatever you do, just keep your dial still locked on Star Radio UK, and don't you go away. You can Skype at us as well. Our Skype ID is Star Radio UK 1. All right then. So now let's move on to some other stories making the rounds in other parts of the world, but this around from other parts of Africa as well. Now in Senegal, well, the opposition leader who has been charged or has been found guilty is supposed to be facing a sentence, I think about a 2-year sentence, has also now filed a case against the president. The 170-page long complaint has been lodged against Senegalese President Macky Sall. His main opponent, Ousmane Sonko, has filed a criminal complaint in France for crimes against humanity allegedly committed between March 2021 and June 2023. Sonko's lawyer broke down the accusations during a presser on Thursday, June 22. Now, Jean Branco, Senegalese opposition leader, Ousmane Sonko's lawyer, for the past month, we have been conducting a lengthy investigation with the participation of hundreds of Senegalese, whom I would like to thank, French lawyer Jean Branco said. Now, it goes on further to say they were citizens, civil servants, people working in all the country's administrations who have provided us with evidence, documents, contracts, videos, testimonies that have enabled us to establish the existence of 60 crimes of murder considered to be crimes against humanity. Now, during the press conference, French Spaniard lawyer John Branco projected videos and photos, some of them containing distressing footage allegedly showing Senegalese demonstrators getting killed, or seriously injured during the deadly unrest earlier in June. While the government toll for June is 16 dead, Amnesty International has counted up to 23 fatalities, and the opposition tally stands at 30. Now, Sonko alleges that deadly clashes following his sentencing to jail time this month are the latest step in a generalized and systematic attack on the civilian population of Senegal since March 2021. Now, he was convicted to 2 years in prison for corrupting the youth. A beauty salon worker accused him of death threats and rape. The daily protests following the court's verdict are the worst Senegal has seen in years, following a previous outburst 2 years ago when at least 12 people died. In addition to the president's opposition leader, Sonko's case targets Senegalese Interior Minister Antoine Diome, a military police chief Moussa Fall, and 112 others. His criminal complaint has been filed with the Paris Tribunal Crimes Against Humanity Unit. Okay, Nassala and Diome have ordered and supervised the commission of crimes against unarmed demonstrators since March 2021, including murders, torture, and forced disappearance, it alleges. Can it be proven? Well, it hasn't got enough evidence, but it's going to be a tough one, wouldn't it? But whatever it is, it's all coming away from Starr Radio, okay? It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Well, in Senegal, still, an agreement has been reached to review the trial of an opponent, the story says. The participants in a national consultation aimed at easing political tensions 8 months before the presidential election have agreed in principle to review the trial of an opponent who has been ruled out of the 2019 election because of his legal problems, his party said on Thursday. Now, Karim Wade, the son of former President Abdoulaye Wade, who was in power from 2000 to 2012, was sentenced in 2015 to 6 years in prison on charges of illicit enrichment. A former minister of state under his father's regime, Mr. Wade, 58, was pardoned in 2016 by President Macky Sall and has since been in exile in Qatar. Now, civil society and the other parties, majority, non-aligned, and opposition have consensually agreed to a review of Mr. Karim Wade's trial. Nafissatou Diallo, National Communications Secretary for the Senegalese Democratic Party, the PDS, said yesterday. It's all coming away from Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. In South Africa, 1 year after the submission of a damning report on the extent of state corruption in South Africa, too little has been done, criticized Association and Judge Raymond Zondo, head of the country's highest court, on Thursday. For 4 years, Judge Raymond Zondo headed the Commission of Inquiry into rampant corruption during former President Jacob Zuma's 9 years in power, that 2009 to 2018. Now, exactly 1 year ago, he delivered the long-awaited conclusion of more than 400 days of hearings involving more than 300 witnesses. In the 6-part report, Jacob Zuma is accused of having been a central player in the system set up to plunder public money for the benefit of a circle of politicians and powerful businessmen of Indian origin, the Gupta brothers. President Cyril Ramaphosa, who was called to testify before the commission, has reportedly promised to crack down on corruption, but no arrests have been announced since the Zondo report was submitted. 1 year is a reasonable amount of time to reflect on the commission's work, Raymond Zondo said on Thursday at a conference in Pretoria on the impact of the report and its implication. This will come your way from Starr Radio UK. So, what is the point of setting all this state of inquiry and all that comes with it? And then when the report has been, or the white paper has been released and all that, no action is taken. It's just a waste of space and money, state funds, the scarce resources that we're talking about. Why don't they give them money or to build something with it that will benefit citizens, rather than using all that and not taking any action at all? But it's all coming away from Starr Radio UK. It's 7 minutes past the top of the hour at the time. The morning show, the program. We've waited since June 12. Government pay us. Pensioners, bondholders are saying. The Pensioners Bondholders Forum has resumed picketing at the Ministry of Finance following the government failure to pay their matured coupons. The Accountant General Department is yet to make payment to the pensioner bondholders following a directive by the Ministry of Finance during an earlier meeting a week ago. The ministry has instructed the Accountant General to prioritize payment of 6 outstanding coupons before the next maturity date, a development these senior citizens consider betrayal of trust and wickedness. The convener for the pensioner bondholders, Dr. Edu Anane Entry, stated that the language the Ministry of Finance understand is picketing. Now, you have given some promise, you can't make it, or there is anything. You see, communication is not right. Should be here before we hear something from the ministry. That is not right. So if you don't come here and picket, nobody tells us anything unless we are here. If they have something, they have to wait for us to come here before they tell us. So if you have given some instructions and there are problems, let us know. Now, then we will say, what do we do? We can also go and meet. This is what is happening. What do we do? But absolutely no information. So if you say you have to pay, you must pay, and we have waited since the 12th of June, Dr. Anani Entry has stated. Well, the government seems to be making the promises, and the next moment they don't fulfill that promise, and that's what Dr. Anani seems to be talking about. So what do you think is the way forward for them? What can they do to retrieve their monies? It's all coming your way from only Starr Radio UK, where it is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Now, this pertains to Tama Oil Refinery. Brace for doom so in the coming days if the government is unable to pay at least 30% of over $1.4 billion owed to power producers by the close of this month. Now, independent power producers, the IPPS, have served their last notice to the Finance Minister, Kenneth Oriata, that they will shut down plants or simply cut power supply to the national grid from the 1st of July 2023 should their demand go unaddressed. The communique was issued after an emergency meeting on Tuesday. In its official letter to the Finance Minister, the IPPs cited an earlier demand for 30% payment of outstanding arrears of each IPP by June 20. Now, the Chamber of Independent Power Producers, however, said that fell on deaf ears. Now, so they go on further to say, we refer to our letter dated March 27, 2023 and May 25, 2023 with references, blah, 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 addressed to the Minister of Finance, by which the IPP Chamber stressed the urgent necessity for the government to prioritize payment of the outstanding arrears owed to members of the IPP Chamber to enable the IPPs to cover critical operation costs required to continue operation and pay overdue debt service, the statement said. So, what is going to happen there? Are they going to see to pay the IPP, or are we going to see doom saw? Okay, Starr Radio UK. Now, the former High Commissioner to Ghana, Mr. Victor Smith, under the NDC administration, has called for an investigation into the citizenship of some members of Parliament in the wake of the removal of the MP for Ascent North, James Jachukwueze, who was deemed not to have renounced his Canadian citizens before the 2020 elections. According to Victor Smith, a leading member of the National Democratic Congress, he is aware of a New Patriotic Party MP who applied for the renunciation of his U.S. citizenship way later than Jachukwueze did for his Canadian citizenship. He said that the said MP is a legislator for the Nsuta Kwamang Beposo constituency and a sister of MPP National Chairman Stephen Intim, Adelaide Yao Ejewa Intim. Now, Jachukwueze is in court for something to do with dual nationality. There are a few people in there, and we have to investigate this. It is documented that one MPP MP called Ya Ejewa Intim is a sister of the MPP chairman, had a similar issue. Are they going to investigate it, or is it too little, too late? Let's see what happens from there. It is All Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. All right then, opening of worms, a can of worms, and how would that pan out? A security police expert, Anthony Akwe, has squarely placed the blame for the gruesome killing of one of his officers at the doorsteps of the High Command of the Ghana Police Service. The deceased officer, identified only as Amoa, was attacked and fired at multiple times while he was in the passenger seat of a bullion van that had gone to a popular fuel station at Dansuman to collect money. In CCTV footages that have since gone viral, some 4 men atop 2 motorbikes went directly for the policeman in the front seat of the white van, firing at him until he succumbed to death. By reacting to the incident, which the police have announced is under investigation, Anthony Akwe said that the top hierarchy of the police service have failed to prioritize the safety of their own men. Having noticed that the poor quality bullion van in the question in the video footage and the police officer shot without wearing armored vest and ballistic helmet has triggered me to ask the Ghana Police High Command on how well do they ensure their men and women adhere to the right operation standards procedure in such an important operation involving life and money. That's going to be an interesting one, but I promise you one thing for sure. Hopefully, God willing, next week when we are still alive and we come on air, we'll be looking into that. Because I remember back in the day, they said that if they're not getting armored bullion vans, then they're not going to, the police weren't going to allow their personnel to accompany them. However, we don't see that now. They are going in those pickup trucks, being fired at and being killed. My goodness. It is Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Well, yesterday the sad news did arrive pertaining to the death of the 5 men who went on board the Titan sub. Tributes are paid to the 5 men killed on board the Titan sub in what U.S. officials say was a catastrophic implosion. The victims were Hamish Hardin, 58, Shahzada Dawood, 48, and his son Suleiman Dawood, 19. Paul Henry Nagiolet, 77, and Stockton Rush, 61. Intimate the U.S. Navy originally detected an acoustic anomaly consistent with an implosion shortly after the Titan lost contact on Sunday. A robotic diving vehicle found major fragments of the sub on the sea floor about 1,400 feet. 1,600 feet, that's 480 meters from the Titanic shipwreck on Thursday. James Cameron, director of the 1997 Titanic film, who has completed 33 dives to the wreck, said he suspected a disaster after the sub went missing. Experts have questioned the safety of the Titan submersible and how private sector deep sea expeditions are regulated. Now, Ocean Gate co-founder who left the firm a decade ago said the sub went through a rigorous test program. But what has happened to it? What happened to it for these individuals to lose their lives? So coming your way from Starr Radio UK, and as we say, may their souls rest in perfect peace. Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Now, exiled Chinese human rights activist Teng Biao has apologized to a female journalist in Taiwan as the Me Too movement picks up momentum there. The woman claims Mr. Teng tried to rape her during a work-related trip in the 2016. This week, Mr. Teng said the rape allegations were baseless but apologized. He said the encounter was a clumsy courtship and not an attack. Mr. Teng left mainland China in 2012 and had been living in the US since 2014. The Taiwanese journalist, who preferred not to be named, says Mr. Teng lounged at her in a hotel room in India in 2016. She had needed to extend her stay after the official schedule finished, and Mr. Teng offered her a room that he claimed was already paid for by acquaintances who had left earlier than planned. Now, she alleges that when she entered the room, she had found Mr. Teng sitting there. He lunged at me multiple times. I pushed him away. He then came at me again while I walked to the door, so I withdrew to the corner. She said, I said, don't you come or I'll scream. He didn't want others to hear, so he had to let me go, she added. In an email reply, Mr. Teng said he had strong evidence that shows a rape attempt accusation is baseless. Although he didn't elaborate, Mr. Teng resigned from 2 human rights groups after issuing the apology. The journalist says that she had asked him to apologize publicly after the incident. She added that Mr. Teng had agreed to do so, but several of their mutual acquaintances asked her to stop pursuing a public apology as they feared it will give other people a chance to discredit their work on human rights. Well, I gotta say it, and she said it, and Mr. Teng has come out to apologize. But that apology go far enough? That is a question on the lips of most people. Why this all coming away from Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Okay. Let's move on to some other stories making the rounds this morning. Now, a couple of days ago, there was an attack in North London. Okay, a man has been charged with attempted murder after 2 people were stabbed at a central Middlesex hospital in northwest of London. Now, Matteo Bottarelli, 43, of Central Way Park Royal, has also been charged with 2 counts of threatening violence with a bladed article in a public place. It comes after two men, believed to be aged in their 40s, were attacked at the hospital in Park Royal on Wednesday. Mr. Bottarelli will appear at Willesden Magistrate Court later. Armed police were called to the hospital at 13:18 BST, where they found the men with injuries thought to have been caused by a mattock, a type of pickaxe. Now, neither is in a life-threatening condition, but one of the men's injuries may be life-changing, the Met Police has said. The suspect was initially arrested on suspicion of 2 counts of attempted murder, but following police inquiries, he was further arrested on a 3rd count. The 3rd person did not sustain any injuries, police said. Mr. Bottarelli was initially treated for injuries but was later released into police custody. The incident is not being treated as a terror-related one. And it's all coming your way from Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Well, I had some Twitter posts, and Yomi didn't even read it, pertaining to the former Prime Minister Boris Johnson, talking about the celebration. It is a 7-year celebration of Brexit. And he's saying that, look, we are doing very well. We are in control of our borders. We are having good trade relations or negotiations and all sorts. But if you're listening to me, do you feel that? Now, only yesterday we had the central bank of the Bank of England actually coming out to raise interest rates due to inflation. And some of the aspects or some of the explanation that has been given pertains to the fact that salary hikes. Okay, they're talking about 7%, and some experts have come out to say that 7% is not something that should actually inflame the inflation. Okay. But this has all been due to the fact that because of the Brexit, lots of workers had to leave the country, and when they left the country, so there are few workers to go around. Let me put it that way, and therefore, I mean, if you raise your money, your payments, then people will have to come and work with you, and that seems to be what has happened. So the Brexit per se has not helped us in any way, shape, or form. Now, if you look at other countries, you look at the EU, you look at other advanced countries, and you look at the fact that our inflation rate and our interest rates, they're saying that we are far, far high above all the others. So what have been the fueling factors there? Is it not the Brexit? I know people will be talking about the fact that, you know what, it's not Brexit at all, but it's all to do with the COVID and the lockdown and its effects. But have you forgotten about Liz Truss as well? And what the Conservatives have done to the economy? Someone saying, well, 13 years of recklessness have wrecked us to this point. But what do you think about all that? My goodness. It's all coming your way from Starr Radio UK. Well, the Chancellor of the Exchequer is said to have been having a meeting with mortgage lenders. Okay. Now, banks and building societies are meeting Chancellor Jeremy Hunt as pressure grows on them to help people struggling with rising mortgage costs. The meeting comes after Thursday's decision by the Bank of England to hike rates by 5%, up from 4.5%, as it tries to tackle inflation. Now, millions of UK households will see their budget squeezed as a result. But Mr. Hunt and Prime Minister Rishi Sunak have dismissed suggestions that the government should step in. Now, after the interest rate rise was announced, Mr. Sunak said the government will remain steadfast and stick to its plan to bring down inflation. The Chancellor said support for mortgage holders risked stoking inflation, which figures released on Wednesday showed remain stuck at 8.7% in May. Now, some, including the National Residential Landlords Association, are calling for government's action, such as the reintroduction of mortgage interest relief and the unfreezing of the housing benefit rates. However, they are concerned that providing support for borrowers could undermine the Bank of England's battle against inflation. So the question is, what is the way forward for us all? But Tim Pitt, a partner at the consulting firm Flint Global and a former Treasury advisor said the Chancellor should hold his nerve. He needs to make the bank's job harder, he said. Now, interest rate rises are partly aimed at dampening spending in the economy by reducing people's disposable income. So, providing support will work counter to the Bank of England's policy. The meeting with banks on Friday was mainly about the optics. Mr. Pitt said, adding he did not expect the government to step in with additional support. Ultimately, this is mainly about political positioning to make the Chancellor look as if he's taking action. Instead, discussions are likely to focus on strengthening the existing help for those facing difficulties. Some of the options suggested have been: 1. Providing more flexibility for homeowners if they ask for changes to existing deals, and boosting support for mortgage interest payment for those on benefits. Now, allowing people temporary respite from payments without impacting their future ability to borrow. The NRLA warned that interest rates of 5% could force landlords to sell 735,000 rental properties, which it said will exacerbate the ongoing and demand crisis across the private rented sector. The Bank of England Governor Andrew Bailey admitted on Thursday that the 13th consecutive rise in rates since December 2021 will cause difficulty and pain for many. Those with loans will be understandably worried, he said. Mortgage rates have been rising for months. An average of 2-year fixed rate mortgage is currently at 6.19%, while the 5-year is 5.82%, according to financial data firm Manifax. In June last year, those rates were closer to 3%. The latest move by the Bank of England have yet to filter through into the current mortgage rates, according to David Hollingworth from the London and Country Brokers. Now, fixed rates have not gone into overdrive. They're still moving rapidly, but there is no acceleration. We'll see how the markets react to the coming in the coming days, he said. Understanding some saving rates have already been put up by following Thursday's rate, but in the recent weeks, MPs have criticized banks for failing to pass rate rises on in full to savers with easy access accounts. So if you are saving, what account are you on? That's a tough one. But let's start Radio UK. Well, we're going to be bringing the program to a close because Money Man has been caught up in some emergency meeting there. Therefore, we're going to be calling it. And because we have current issues to discuss, so we won't continue with it because we want him to address the issue pertaining to the inflation. But he's promising that next week, God willing, he's going to be coming your way to do so. But let's take a commercial break and I come back and I run up the program. Stay tuned. Don't you go away.
Hi, I'm Ada Williams and I'm an NHS pharmacist. Don't get caught out by COVID this summer. If you have only had one COVID-19 vaccination or haven't had one at all, you can still get your free vaccine until the 30th of June. Book your vaccine through the NHS app, online at nhs.uk/COVID vaccination or call 119 for free.
Hi guys, this is your friend Uruj from SendWave. SendWave is a money transfer app that is used by people all over the world to send money to their loved ones in Africa. With SendWave, you can send money to Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And the best part is, SendWave is absolutely commission free. Our exchange rates are excellent. You can see for yourself by checking them out on our website. So how do you use SendWave? SendWave is an app that you can download onto your phone from the App Store or Google Play Store. The app is free to download. After downloading it, just open the app and enter your name, email, and phone number. That's it. You're good to go. Make sure you use the promo code SR. S for Star, R for Radio. This promo code will give you £5 free credit to send to Africa on your first transaction. Your money will be delivered to your recipient within seconds. Feel free to call me on 0749 7377 647 at any time. I'll be happy to tell you all about SendWave and help you in any way I can. Remember to use the promo code SR for £5 free credit. Medasse.
Hi everyone, it's your girl BB Clement, the author of How to Go From Employee to Entrepreneur and the host of your weekly business show, BB Means Business, the show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Starr Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.
Okay, of late I've been falling in love with his Root Riders and all the Bob Marley tunes that he's been bringing your way. Well, so this way I bring the program to a close for today. God willing, Monday we're going to be coming your way with all that is happening over the weekend. But remember, Sunday we'll be bringing a live church broadcast, and of course we'll be having KB Bossman with the Faith Talk on Sunday as well. So on that note, let me say thank you very much. And as many of you who will be trooping or making your way to the Property Expo 2023 here in the UK from the Ghana Expo, Ghana Property Expo. We want to invite you all. Alright then. So let me say thank you very much to each and every one of you, from my producers to all the you wonderful people who have listened to us today from across the globe. I say have a wonderful weekend, and as we say, may Nigeria not happen to you. Bye bye for now. It's been me, your one and only Archie. Here. Bye.
Or even try to school ya. Oh no. We've got to mind of our own. So go to hell if what you're thinking is not right. Love would never leave us alone. In the darkness, you must come out to light. Could you be loved and be loved? The road of life is rocky and you may stumble too. So while you point your finger, someone else is judging you. Could you be loved? Could you be loved?
This is Starr Radio UK.
Thanks for listening.